Yo, what's going on, guys? It's been a long time. It's your boy Evan. Keeping It G Real podcast is back. It's been a little bit since we put out a podcast. My co-host Hawkeye and I have opposing schedules now, so we've been trying to fit things in, school, work, and stuff. Just real busy. You know how it goes for everyone. So I'm actually sitting in school right now, in one of the study rooms, taking advantage of the exuberant amount of money that we pay to go to college. Might as well use everything that's given to us. So I'm all by myself, just in this tiny little room. Any of these kids out here that want this room, they can fucking suck it. We're gonna do a quick little fight breakdown today. We got a huge fight card coming up, UFC 229. So it's just me. We're gonna go through all these fights and just really do a little quick breakdown on what's going on. This is a pretty good fight card. The fight card as a whole, in my opinion, if you're not someone that just watches the fights just to watch like Conor McGregor fight, you know how it is for most of these fans out here. They don't really know what they're watching at the time, and rightfully so. They just want to be entertained. But there's actually some good fights on this card, so we're going to actually go through all of this and get to the bottom, and I'll make my predictions based on what we have and be fair here. There's going to be some close fights on this fight card. We're going to start with Ryan LaFleur versus Tony Martin. As a disclaimer, I'm actually watching the weigh-ins right now, and a handful of guys have weighed in. I want to say that Khabib has already weighed in, although they said that Conor and a few other people are left to still weigh in. But I didn't hear them say anything about a Khabib not weighing in. I don't know if he made weight.
Sorry, Mark, but it appears as though we get our first break here in the action.
Or whatnot. So Conor McGregor has yet to hop up on the scale and make his weight official. I mean, he used to kill himself to make 145, and he's always made it, So I don't think there's going to be too much of an issue for him making weight. I don't think there's going to be an issue.
He also makes that 155-pound mark, which is a very important distinction. You could have gone.
So yeah, Ryan LaFleur versus Tony Martin. Now, there's like speculation. Tony Martin's been pretty brash on the social media lately, talking about how, he thinks that the UFC is sleeping on him and things of that nature. And he says he's going to go out here and put on a show and this and that. He thinks if he loses tonight or something like that, the UFC is going to cut him. I don't think so, because he's really not all that old. I'm pretty sure he's a young fighter. I can't really figure out, what his age is from looking at the UFC website. But he's fighting Ryan LaFleur, who's, as my boy Anton would say, kind of a journeyman fighter. I really don't think either of these guys have any future prospect potential as far as being in title contention. Ryan LaFleur's kind of older. He's in his mid-30s. Let's take a look at Tony Martin here. Tony Martin, I want to say, is in his late 20s. All right, so Tony Martin's 28. He's coming off a win over Keita Nukamara by decision. So both guys are kind of decently, averagely well-rounded guys. I mean, wherever the fight goes, they look to be comfortable. I think mostly this fight's going to be tested on the feet. Ryan LaFleur looks to mix it up and try to take guys down and things of that nature. I think we're going to be looking at a classic, two guys meet each other in the center and try to pose their will on each other. A lot of people are high on Ryan LaFleur. Personally, I'm not really high on either of these guys. I think that this fight will be mostly, contended on the feet. I think they're going to look to just sling leather and box each other. Ryan LaFleur's a tough guy, but I kind of like the youth and the upstart of Tony Martin. He seems hungry. He's got a little chip on his shoulder. These guys are they're competent, whether they're grappling. They're decent athletes. They're competent standing on the feet. I kind of think that their skill sets are similar. They'll kind of negate each other. I'm probably going to take Tony Martin via unanimous decision here. I mean, he's got an athleticism edge and a youth edge. I mean, LaFleur's been fighting for a while. Both guys have similar records, 13-2, 12-4. I think Tony Martin will edge him out. The athleticism and the gas tank, the youth So I'll take Tony Martin to take out Ryan LaFleur in this fight by unanimous decision. I don't really see either guy finishing each other. Both guys are durable. Moving on to the next matchup, these are the early fight pass prelims. We have Gray Maynard versus Nick Lentz. Now this is actually an interesting fight. Nick Lentz, really high level wrestler, has been making a career off taking dudes down and dominating position and beating them up, things of that nature. Nick Lentz has actually improved in his striking over time. I mean, he's got some decent wins. Like he's kind of got that Jake Shields thing going on where he's kind of overachieved. Not really a great athlete, but his grappling and his understanding of when he needs to take dudes down, he's kind of dominated some guys. So he actually dropped his last fight to David Tamer, David Tamer, to get your underwears and all that stuff. He beat Ill Will Brooks, which is a good win. He lost to the up-and-coming Islam Makhachev, who is a beast. He has a win over Michael McBride. But if you look back, if you expand this history, he's beat, Manny Gamburian, Hakan Diaz, Diego Nunes. He's beaten some good guys. But he seems to not be able to get over, the hump. As you see, he lost a submission to Charles Oliveira. He got beat by Chad Mendez by decision, got dominated in that fight, lost to David Tamer. So, Nick Lentz has an impressive record of 30-9, but he's kind of one of those dudes that, just he can't seem to get over the hump. He's 39-2, but when he gets up against the upper echelon of guys, you kind of see that there's a serious divide between the upper echelon guys and skills. He's just not well-rounded enough and athletic enough to hang with those guys. I mean, he's got good takedowns, good takedown defense. He's developed better kicking techniques over time. He's getting better at leg kicks, but he just, at this point in time, at 34 years old, I mean, Nick Lentz is kind of just, outside of the title contention picture. I mean, he never was really there. However, his opponent, Gray Maynard, if people remember back in the day, Gray Maynard had some of the greatest fights of all time against Frankie Edgar. They had a rivalry. They battled it out back and forth. Gray Maynard is the classical case of a class of fighter that I really can't stand. It's the style of fighter that I can't stand the most, and me and my friends have talked about it ad nauseum. Gray Maynard is a high-level wrestler. And when he was coming up in his youth, was just taking dudes down and beating them up. It ended up, earning title shots against Frankie Edgar and things of that nature. I couldn't remember who had the title, if he had the title, if Frankie did, but they had these knockdown, drag-out fights. The problem with Gray Maynard is Gray Maynard probably could have been in title contention more, maybe held on to his belt longer if he would have stuck to the fact that he was physically imposing and could out-wrestle most dudes. There's a lot of these wrestlers out here that they get competent in striking. They start putting a few guys down in training camp. They get a couple, knockout wins, and, they decide, they all of a sudden think they're just these high-level strikers. And Gray Maynard's one of those dudes where if he would have stuck to his bread and butter instead of thinking he's like a boxing champion, believing in his striking, which is fine. I mean, you learn a couple new tools. Gray Maynard started putting dudes down with the right hand and stuff, and he's got knockout power because he's an athlete, but some of the you find it more with wrestlers because I think they know they can rely on that wrestling base. If the striking exchanges aren't working out, I can easily go back down to my bread and butter and take dudes out. But they put themselves in situations to get finished. And Gray Maynard never really had a chin either, so he's dropped a lot of fights due to the fact that he doesn't mix it up enough and take dudes down when he should and things of that nature. And now Gray Maynard, he's got to be almost 40. Yeah, Gray Maynard's 39. He just won a fight against a no-name fighter. He lost to guys like Ryan Hall. He lost to Alexander Yakovlev. His record's not that impressive. Gray Maynard definitely needs to hang up the gloves. Unless he gets some sort of knockout, if he can put his hands on Nick Lentz early and stuff, I think Nick Lentz will win a decision. At this point in time, I mean, Gray Maynard could obviously go out there and sling the leather, but Nick Lentz is tough as nails. He can take punches. I expect Nick Lentz to win this fight by decision. both guys are kind of like in a place now where like Nick Lentz's issue is, he can't get over the hump. And Gray Maynard probably should have retired 5 years ago. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, Nick Lentz puts him away in some of the striking exchanges because Nick Lentz, for his striking deficiencies, he's not a slouch. He's a guy that'll be in your face, push the action, he'll trade punches with you. I think he can put Gray Maynard away if he wants to. I think he can TKO Maynard, but I'll take Nick Lentz by decision. Then we have Yana Kunitskaya from Mother Russia. She's taking on Lena Landsberg, a.k.a. the Elbow Queen from Sweden. Both girls are strikers. There's not much to really, not much deeper to go into this fight. Both girls are going. This is going to be contested on the feet. Lena Landsberg's really tough, and she's got some decent wins. And Yana, if you remember, for the people that watch MMA consistently, Yana Kunitskaya stepped up on short notice and fought Cyborg. It's either the beginning of this year or the very end of last year. She stepped up and fought because no one wants to fight Cyborg. Kunitskaya took on Chris Cyborg Santos, and she put up a good fight. She's long, rangy, and all these things, but I don't think anyone's ever ready for the whirlwind that is Cyborg. I mean, Holly Holm had a really good fight with her, but that's because Holly Holm's so athletic and she's super skilled, a well-rounded MMA fighter. My prediction for this fight would be Kunitskaya's got a decent reach advantage on her, not just in leg reach, but her actual punching reach. Now, a lot of times, if you watch MMA, really the striking rarely means shit, because not a lot of people are good at actually using cutting angles and using their range to keep people at bay and things of that nature. I mean, Stefan Struve gets knocked out 24-7, and he's got a 2,000-yard reach advantage on everyone. So, but I like Kunitskaya in this fight. I think she has a more diverse striking arsenal. She's got really good kicks. I think she'll use the distance to probably beat Lena Landsberg by decision. It'll be close. Lena Landsberg's a tough fight. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a split decision. But yeah, both girls are really tough, and I just think on the feet, Kunitskaya's got the athletic tools and the depth to her striking game where she'll probably win a decision over Lena Landsberg. And those are the prelims, or the Fight Pass prelims. For those of you out there that have Fight Pass, we'll hop to the next set of prelims. So these prelims, there's actually some good fights on these prelims, man. Alan Patrick, who is a high-level, up-and-coming Brazilian fighter, a young cat. He can fight, very well-rounded. He's explosive. He's taken on Scott Holtzman, who has probably one of the best nicknames in all of MMA, a.k.a. Hot Sauce. So Alan Patrick, I'm pretty sure, is Alan Patrick is older than that. I thought Alan Patrick was young. This motherfucker's 35. So Alan Patrick's on a 3-fight win streak. He's beaten Damian Brown, Stevie Ray, and Damir Hadzovic. And he's looked impressive. They've all been unanimous decisions. He's really been, he gets a lot of takedowns. He mixes it up really well. I've only seen 2 fights of him, but the last 2 times I've seen him, he looked impressive. There's so many fights now that it's hard remembering certain guys sometimes, but 15-1, Alan Patrick. I don't know what the odds are in this fight, but both guys' skill sets are roughly similar. Scott Holtzman is actually tough as nails, but Alan Patrick's got good jiu-jitsu. So it'd be interesting to see if the fight goes to the floor in this fight. Scott Holtzman, I want to say Scott Holtzman got a big win over someone recently. Let's see what's going on with Scott Holtzman. Hot Sauce, 11-2. Scott Holtzman. See, Scott Holtzman's old too, 35 years old. So Scott Holtzman he's on a 2-fight win streak. Both he won by decision. Yeah, like I said, these guys' skill sets are both similar, Scott Holtzman and Alan Patrick. I mean, this fight will go to a decision most likely. I don't really have like a serious prediction for this fight because, again, similar to the Ryan LaFleur and Tony Martin fight, that fight's going to look similar. Guys that are decently rounded, they're willing to strike, they're willing to take it to the floor. Yeah, I don't know. I think that fight's going to be just one of those like bland back and forth fights where they kind of just string punches at each other, maybe look to take each other down a little bit. I think it'll probably. I'll take Scott's Holtzman by decision. I don't really, like I said, I don't really think there's going to be anything that's too much eventful. I mean, Alan Patrick is a very explosive fighter, but yeah, I'll take Scott Holtzman and by decision. I'll take hot sauce. So now, one of my buddy Mike's favorite fighters, Tanya Evinger, a.k.a. the Triple Threat. Tanya Evinger's been around a while, a long while, and she's fought fucking everybody. I mean, for the female fight game is still relatively young as far as popularity. Tanya Evinger's been around a while. She's 19-6. She took on one of the only girls that was willing to step up and take on Cyborg. She had a bad. She hung in there tough with Cyborg. She just got her ass beat the whole entire time. She's on a 3-fight losing streak, which sucks. She lost to Sarah McMahon by decision. She got subbed back in the day by Gina Carano. She hasn't been fighting as much lately. I mean, her from 2007 up until 2017, she only had a handful of professional fights. But she's taking on Aspen Ladd this weekend. I mean, Tanya Evinger, she's decent size, woman for this division, 5'7". She's a strong 5'7", though. She's long and rangy. She's a veteran. She's well-rounded. Like, I don't think she's overtly skilled, but she's comfortable wherever the fight really goes, and she walks girls down, and she fights in a way not a lot of women fight in MMA. She kind of walks girls down and tries to maul them and just impose their toughness. Like, she's just tough as nails. She's taking on Aspen Ladd, who's undefeated, 6-0. And Aspen Ladd's a striker. 67% KO rate. Let's see, who's Aspen Ladd beat? She's undefeated. I want to say Aspen Ladd's not that old. She's ranked number 9, actually. Yeah, Aspen Ladd's pretty young. She's 23 years old, about the same height. Her last fight, she won by TKO. She actually beat Lena Landsberg, who's fighting tonight. Yeah, Aspen Ladd, I'm pretty sure I watched her fight. She could pop. She got a knockout power in her hands, which is odd for the women's divisions, because a lot of times the women's division, they don't have girls that have knockout power. I mean, it's just the way it is, but she's fighting. Yeah, I mean, Aspen Ladd's young. She's athletic. She's been finishing girls, which is interesting. Tanya Evinger's so tough, though. She comes forward and she plots forward, and she's just like, some people know their way around a fight. Tanya Evinger's one of those people. She knows her way around a fight, and she's savvy. I like Aspen Ladd to win this fight. Could she knock Evinger out? For sure. But Evinger, it took forever. I don't even remember if Evinger got put away by. She lasted almost the whole fight, at least, against Cyborg. I like Aspen Ladd by decision or TKO in this fight. I mean, Tanya Evinger, I mean, she's. She knows her way around a fight, but she's not athletic at all. And that plotting style, I think, is going to get herself, beat up in this fight pretty bad here by Aspen Ladd. Now, this next fight, Vicente Luque is a very skilled fighter. Vicente Luque, he's really good standing up. He's explosive and a really good submission artist. He's 13-6. He lands 3.24 significant strikes per minute. His actual striking accuracy is 50%. His defense is above 50%. 50% takedown accuracy. He's fighting Julian Turner, a.k.a. the Tarantula. Not only is he long and look like a tarantula, apparently they call him the Tarantula because supposedly he has a bunch of spiders. That's what I was hearing in these weigh-ins. But, I haven't seen much of Julian Turner. He's 6-3. He's big for the welterweight division. He's 6'3". He's 23 years old. He TKO'd someone in his debut. He TKO'd Max Mustaki. I've never seen him. I've never seen Julian Turner fight. I looked into him. I heard good things about him, that he's an up-and-coming prospect. Vicente Luque is a tough fighter. He's on one of the Ultimate Fighter episodes. He was smitten dudes in the Ultimate Fighter house. He's got Julian Turner, this new kid's got performance of the night, fight of the night, knockout of the night, submission of the night. So, he's an up-and-coming guy. I don't know. I haven't seen him fight. Vicente Luque, I mean, you can't always do MMA math, but Vicente Luque, He's on a 2-fight win streak. He beat two decent fighters, Nico Price and Chad LaPrize. One by submission, one by TKO. I think this is going to be a good fight. He has 2 performances of the night. Vicente Luque is a finisher, and he's always looking to finish. I like guys that are always looking to finish a fight. I mean, the guys that are always looking to finish the fights, those guys, in my opinion, separate themselves from the rest of the pack. It's one thing to be going out there fighting not to lose and things of that nature. There's something I really like about the dudes that are always looking to finish the fight, no matter what's going on. I mean, you could always coast and ensure a victory, but Vicente Luque is one of those guys where he's looking to finish the fight. If a submission's there, he'll take it. If he's good at sensing if he's got a dude hurt. Those last couple times I watched him fight, I thought he was really impressive. I do think there's a little. I haven't seen this kid fight, but I've heard good things. But I'm going to err on the side of caution. I don't know what the odds are, but I'll take Vicente Luque in this fight by decision or maybe by submission. We'll see. The guy he's fighting's long and strong, so that could cause him problems. There's going to be severe reach advantage in this fight. But I'll take Vicente Luque in this fight by unanimous decision. Now here's one of the most interesting matchups of the night. We got Sergio Pettis versus Josier Formiga. Now, for a lot of the people out there that don't know, back in the day before the UFC flyweight division was way before it was ever even opened up, Demetrius Johnson was fighting up at 135. He wasn't a 125er for most of his career. As Dominic Cruz would say, he created the 125-pound division because up until Cejudo just beat Johnson, which is a whole nother can of worms because I thought Johnson won that fight. Johnson had only lost once, and it was to Dominic Cruz. So Dominic Cruz is the gangster he always is, walks around and says he created 125 for all the 135ers that couldn't beat him to go down and wait to try to capture a title and things of that nature. He's pretty funny. But for people that don't know, Jose Formiga's an old-timer. He's got to be in his mid-30s now. Back before the UFC had a 125-pound division, Formiga and Uncle Creepy, Ian McCall, if anyone remembers him, he pretty much doesn't fight anymore. But those two were considered for about 5 years to be the best flyweights in the world. And they ended up fighting in Tachi Palace fights, and Uncle Creepy ended up winning a decision over Formiga at the time, cementing himself as the best flyweight on the planet. Well, Formiga's now in the UFC, and he's looking really impressive. Formiga's a high-level grappler. He's 21-5. He's got some of the best jiu-jitsu in the game, in my opinion. But people don't know him. He's from Brazil. He's got a performance of the night. Formiga's 33. I thought he was older than that. Formiga's got some impressive wins in the octagon. He's doing very well. He's a sleeper in this weight class, and he's just submitting the shit out of people. He won a decision over Justin Ortiz, lost a decision to Ray Borg, but he beat a high-level grappler, Oka Sasasi, by submission. He beat Ben Nguyen by submission, and now he's fighting Anthony Pettis' little brother, Sergio Pettis. Now, Formiga's not just a one-trick pony. Formiga can strike. His striking is really underrated. He's got some sneaky good striking. He sticks to his fundamentals. He's got a good jab hook combination. He can land shots and underrated power for the Division II. Problem is he's fighting Sergio Pettis, who's like his brother, a high-level striker. Now, Sergio Pettis, I think this fight will mostly be contested on the feet because Sergio Pettis is really good at not getting taken down. But I think Formiga will have his moments where he puts him in position to get him where he wants to get him. I think he's going to have more opportunities to get Sergio Pettis on the floor because Sergio Pettis, although he is a high-level striker, his striking, in my opinion, is a lot different than his brother's. Sergio tends to utilize his jab more in his movement. He likes to move left and right and back up and things of that nature. And he looks to stream together more combinations and score more than his older brother does. He uses more of a volume and more like a volume output, accuracy technique. He tries to outscore guys. And he doesn't have high-level power, whereas his brother, who also fights on this fight card, uses his athleticism and his ability to shift his weight back and forth to accurately set up kill shots. And he can throw combinations together, but the older Pettis brother's a fucking sniper. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Even as he's older, he's just sniping dudes. But I think because of Sergio's approach to striking, where he looks to try to find holes to outscore guys and like land volume, I think that it's going to give Formiga more chances to get inside on him and give him a takedown. Sergio's got good submission defense. He's got good grappling, but he's not the grappler that his brother is either. Sergio's on the rise, but I really like Formiga in this fight. Again, I think Formiga's a more well-rounded fighter than Sergio, and Sergio's still really young. And I really think that if we go and we look at Sergio's record, Sergio's had some big wins lately. Sergio's 25. He's still a young fighter. He just came off a win of Joseph Benavidez. Now, it was an impressive win that he beat Joseph Benavidez, and he's beaten other good fighters, Brandon Moreno, John Moraga. Besides his loss to Henry Cejudo, I don't think he's fought a guy with a skill set. A skill set like Josie Formiga, a guy that could take you down, a guy that's a patient striker, not scared to see their strike, but a guy that's such a high-level grappler that if he gets you on the floor, it doesn't matter if you're in his guard or any position. If he's in top position up against the fence, he's a threat to submit you. It's a unique style Formiga possesses, a guy that can get you from any spot. He's just a well-rounded fighter. I like Sergio Pettis. If Sergio Pettis can't keep Formiga from getting to where he wants to get with his takedown, mixing up his takedowns, he could easily... I like Formiga in this fight. I don't know what the odds are, but I like Formiga in this fight. I think Formiga can hurt him and take him down and submit him, and I think Formiga can mix it up and win a decision. I like Formiga by submission or unanimous decision, as much as I do like Sergio Pettis. Yeah, I'm taking Formiga in this fight. So moving away from the prelims, we're going to move into the meat of the card, the main event. And we have two of my favorite female fighters. We got my homegirl, Felice Herrig, a.k.a. Lil Bulldog, taking on Michelle Waterson, the Karate Hottie. And yes, she is a hottie. Don't let the nickname holds true. So Michelle Waterson, God, how does anyone not like Michelle Waterson? Like, this is a girl that has fought at 115 and at 105. She's fought at atom weight, I'm pretty sure, and she's just tiny compared to a lot of these girls she has to fight. She's even fought at weight classes above that. And Michelle Waterson, she's just skilled. She's really skilled. She could grapple, she could submit girls, and she's got a really good style of stand-up where she kind of fights a little more traditional style, where she's got a more traditional stance in the way she approaches fighting, but she's got really good turning side kicks and spinning kicks, things of that nature. She's not bad at her karate techniques, even though she fights a little more squared up. She fights more of a squared up stance. She's a well-rounded fighter. We got Felice Herrig, who I've been a fan of since she fought in Invicta, but Felice Herrig of late, she's kind of an overachiever. She's ranked number 9 now, but she put together a 3-fight win streak. She beat Alexa Grasso, Justine Kish, and Courtney Casey, which was a close fight by a split decision. But then she lost to Karolina Kowalkiewicz, which was a close fight by a split decision, which I was impressed. Felice has been looking good lately. I mean, she's getting older. She's 34. She's been fighting for a while. She's one of the girls that's a real veteran in this sport. She's 14-7. However, so her bread and butter early was always Felice Herrig in her career, that like Lil Bulldog. She'd walk girls down and utilize her kickboxing. She's got all right Muay Thai, good low leg kicks. She'd take girls down, chop them up, beat them up. And that's usually how she won most of her fights. But lately she's been working in the gym she's working with, and she's been taking girls down. She's a well-rounded fighter, and she's just she's like an Instagram model and all that stuff, and like she got followers and like she acts like a pretty girl and stuff all the time. But like I think people underestimate her heart and toughness. Like these last handful of fights, she's looked good and she's had to gut them out. She really has. Although again, this is one of those fights where I do think she's outclassed skill wise. As much as I like Felice Herrig, um, unless she could physically impose her will and get on top and impose a top game tactic against Waterson and hold her down and beat her up. I think that's her only clear path to victory in this fight. I don't think she has any. I don't think she's better than Michelle Waterson in any spot besides the fact that she's the bigger, stronger athlete. And if you look at Michelle Waterson, 15-6, they're almost the same age. She just beat Courtney Casey by split decision. But she lost to Tisha Torres and Rose Namajunas, two of the best in the sport. Won by decision, lost to Rose Namajunas by submission. She also beat Paige Van Zandt by submission. Anyone didn't think that was going to happen. Nate is nuts. But I think because this fight, I could see either girl winning this fight by decision. Again, I was probably going to be a decision. I'm leaning Michelle Waterson because she's a well-rounded fighter. She's a legit well-rounded fighter. She could submit you, she could take you down, and she could beat you up on the feet. But Felice has been really fighting tough lately, really has found some sort of level of belief in herself, and she's really getting after girls. And I think a lot of her problem is definitely like self-doubt issues, things of that nature. But, she's on a tear. She's coming to fight. I'll take Michelle Waterson in this fight, though, by decision. I think it'll be a close fight, but I think she'll get a split decision in this fight. I think this fight will be really close. But in the end, I think Waterson will probably edge it out. I think she's more active and she does more. I think her fighting style, will lean the judges in her favor. I'll take Michelle Waterson. If I can get this thing to work. We're still waiting for people to weigh in over here. I don't know if I haven't seen anyone come up to the scale lately. He said they're still waiting on Conor McGregor to weigh in, which I think he's just taking a sweet-ass time. He'll probably show up last second. I don't think making 155 is an issue for him. I mean, if you look at it, when he fought at 170, those Diaz fights, both times he weighed 168 and 169. So, obviously he didn't have to lose that much weight. Or he probably didn't lose any weight to make the 170 limit. And so now apparently McGregor's on his way to weigh into these official weigh-ins. So we'll go on to the next one, which there's not much to break down in this fight. The heavyweights, Derek Lewis, who's ranked number 2, a.k.a. the Black Beast, my little brother's favorite fighter, versus Alexander Drago Volkov. So, heavyweights, they're both bangers. Neither guy even knows what a takedown is. They're going to stand in front of each other and they're going to fucking bang. I guess the only thing, if you're going to try to break this down, is the fact that Volkov is definitely the better athlete of the two. He's taller, he's rangier, he's got a 4-inch reach advantage. I want to say Alexander Volkov he's tall. I want to say he's like 6'6", I think, something like that, 6'7". Volkov's been on a tear. He's been beating the shit out of everybody. Yeah, he's 6'7" with 80 inches of reach. He's got a massive advantage. His record's 29-6. His summary says striking and jiu-jitsu, but I don't believe any heavyweight outside of Frank Mir that says they're good at jiu-jitsu. Well, Frank Mir for Doom. So he's on a huge win streak. He made his debut and won against split decision against Timothy Johnson. He took Roy Nelson the distance, beat him. Knocked out Stefan Struve, which everyone knocks out Stefan Struve, even though he's got 4,000 inches of reach, and he knocked out Fabricio Verdum. As much as I like Derek Lewis, I mean, can Derek Lewis get inside and club him and probably beat him up? Yeah, but after him fighting Ngannou and not wanting to pull the trigger on Ngannou, who, besides his power, can't strike his way out of a wet paper bag, I'm taking Volkov in this fight, unless Derek Lewis could somehow get him to the floor. I think Volkov's just going to use his reach And he has a higher striking IQ. Volkov's striking IQ is not poor. He's going to time Derek Lewis coming in. I think I think Volkov put Derek Lewis to sleep in the first round. So a little action for you guys tonight. I'm going to take Alexander Volkov by first round knockout or TKO. I think Volkov's going to catch him coming in. He's going to snipe him, put big Derek Lewis out. If Derek Lewis can win this fight, he's probably next in line for. I think whoever wins this fight gets a title shot at heavyweight. Not that that really means anything or whatnot in the heavyweight division, but with all the stuff that's going on. But Volkov, with his physical abilities, his height, and his striking speed and things of that nature. I mean, I really think Alexander Volkov could have a shot at potentially being the champion of this division if he could keep dudes at bay and put his hands on guys. He's got good striking, good power. I like Volkov to win this by knockout in the first round. So, next fight is Ovince St. Preux versus Dominic Reyes. Now, most fight fans know Ovince St. Preux and stuff, play college football and shit, and Ovince St. Preux is another dude that's overachieved. I mean, he's kind of just really athletic and, a decently rounded fighter. He's gotten better at striking, gotten better at grappling. I don't think his grappling is all that high level. I mean, he can take dudes down, and he's good at not getting taken down. But, I mean, if you got, 42,000 wins by Von Flue choke, I mean, that submission is just like a rudimentary position. If you're strong enough to crank on it, you can submit a dude with that submission. Like, it's not like a high skill level move. Volkov's weighing in here. He's a heavyweight, so we know he'll fucking make weight. But so back to Ovince St. Preux and Dominic Reyes. I like Ovince St. Preux. The last couple times I picked him, picked against him, he came out and won. He's got some good wins over some good dudes. I mean, if you remember, he took John Jones when John Jones' punk ass came back, and he lost the decision to Jones. I mean, it just, again, goes to show you, like, Ovince St. Preux is a guy that you can't take lightly. He's explosive, and he has power. And John kind of just coasted through that fight after he probably barely trained for it. He just won a decision. But Ovince St. Preux, 22-11, been fighting for a while. He's got long reach, too. He's that big, athletic. He's got long reach, 80 inches of reach. It's hard to get inside on him. He just beat Tyson Pedro, which, like I said, I picked against him. And he subbed Tyson Pedro ass like a fucking thief in the night. I thought that was hilarious. Tyson Pedro looks like he's got he's like getting praise from a lot of guys. Up and coming Samoan guy who's young. He got subbed by Ilya the TV, but he also has beaten some good guys. He smashed Corey Anderson, TKO'd Corey Anderson. I mean, he submitted Yushin Okami. So I like Ovince St. Preux a lot, but I think. See, I'm torn on this fight. Like, Ovince St. Preux is probably the more well-rounded fighter than Dominic Reyes. But Dominic, the Devastator Reyes, has been knocking everyone the fuck out, if I remember correctly. Let's take a look at what Dominic Reyes is working. So Dominic Reyes, 28, he's still young in the fight game. 9-0, speed, athleticism. He's really explosive. He's got heavy punch and power. Yeah, so Dominic Reyes fought Joachim Christensen in his debut. I remember that, and he fucking smoked that fool. He hit that dude. He knocked that dude into the next dimension. Then he went on to win a submission over Jeremy Kimball. He beat Jared Cannonier. I don't know who the fuck that guy is. Tico'd that guy. So he's been fucking finishing everyone. That first fight with Joachim Christensen, like I said, he knocked that dude into the fucking, I don't know how many dimensions there are, 7, 8. Knocked that dude into the fucking 10th dimension for all we know. That dude's probably not even around. He's probably not even in this one. But he got a fight in night performance. My only question is for what we know right now, Ovince St. Preux is the better overall fighter than Dominic Reyes. He probably could take Dominic Reyes down if he wants to. I like Dominic Reyes, but until I've seen a dude whose bread and butter is just sniping dudes and clubbing dudes, I got to see a dude grapple. I got to see a dude be able to actually be put in situations to keep a fight on the feet. Like, for example, I like Israel Adesanya a lot. and he is showing that he's got good takedown defense and things of that nature. But until I see a dude like Israel Adesanya fight a guy that really could test him in all facets of the game, until he fights a dude like Yoel Romero or a Luke Rockhold or Chris Weidman, a guy that could take him down and hold him down, until I see that, as much as I love striking, like in my years of training, like I'm a striker. That's all I do. But knowing what it's like to be taken down and beaten up, I have a high respect for the grappling game. Because the grappling game is to not be fucked with. And until I see a dude whose bread and butter is striking take on a guy and show me some skills in the grappling department, at least defensively, I'm always like, as Shab would say, skeptical hippo eyes over guys that haven't shown me what they got, at least from a defensive grappling standpoint. So I'm going to take Ovince St. Preux in this fight. I think he's the better fighter, at least for now, and Dominic Reyes could easily knock him out. I mean, Ovince St. Preux's striking defense is not the best. He moves around really well. He's fast and athletic. But I wouldn't be surprised if St. Preux knocked him out or took him down and beat him up. I'll take Ovince St. Preux. I'll take Ovince St. Preux by submission or TKO in the second round. If he doesn't get cracked by Dominic Reyes, I think he could definitely win the fight by decision or finish him on the floor. And now we get to the co-main event. Okay. So Tony Ferguson, El Cucuy, the Boogeyman, versus Anthony Showtime Pettis. This fight is going to be fucking sweet, in my opinion. You got two guys that, in my opinion... Well, Conor McGregor just weighed in. Conor McGregor just weighed in, probably on weight, I would assume. They're all clapping. My internet's running slow in school because school's internet's trash. You'd think you pay this much to go to college or fucking shit would work. But, yeah, anyway, so before we start breaking this fight down, I'm just going to say that Anthony Pettis is a hefty underdog to Tony Ferguson, even after Tony Ferguson has come off a huge layoff. If you're betting money on this fight, in my opinion, say what you want about Anthony Pettis, but I think people sleep on Anthony Pettis. He's extremely skilled and he's extremely dangerous, and he's shown that time and time again. I think Anthony Pettis is a live dog in this fight. He's looked confidence lately. He's talking less, which, you know, I kind of like that he's talking less. I think he's focused. Sometimes even though, and rightfully so, Tony Ferguson's on a massive win streak, but I think sometimes Tony Ferguson doesn't take other fighters seriously. He fights with a crazy fighting style where he just comes forward, and there's just like total disregard for like anything you're going to do. So on Anthony Pettis' side, Anthony Pettis is a high-level striker. And if you remember me talking about his brother, him and his brother, their game plan is to just strike with guys all the time. I think this fight is going to be contested on the feet. Now, I think that both fighters, their game plan is the same in almost all fights. I think they look to strike with dudes, and I think that their thought process behind a fight is, we're going to look to strike with our opponent. Wherever the fight goes, it goes. I think they're skilled enough and comfortable enough that they don't give two shits where the fight goes. I think both fighters are comfortable in top position. I think they're comfortable on their back against the fence, striking distance, clinch range. I think they're comfortable in all facets of the fight. That being said, this fight might be fucking chaos. There could be a chance that this fight could be probably the best fight on the card. I know we're all like, oh, kind of grabbing the B, but I think this fight's going to be a good fight. And I think there's a possibility it could go all over the place, but I think it's mostly going to be contested on the feet. Tony Ferguson, like I said, disregard for what his opponents do. He fights like a caged animal. He comes forward, he throws everything but the kitchen sink. He doesn't get tired. He doesn't give a shit if you take him down because he's comfortable off his back. I think the grappling negates each other. Tony's a little better. I think Tony's top game is better than Pettis's. I mean, he looks to really finish dudes when he's on top of them, pound them out, submit them, things of that nature. But I think I think their jiu-jitsu is equally as good. Pettis is one of those dudes that's got an explosive guard. Like, you get him in the guard, he's immediately, looking for setups and ways to throw his legs up around. He's got really good arm bars from the bottom, good triangles from the bottom. It's not a walk in the park being an Anthony Pettis' guard. And I think because he's so good at striking and he's so explosive and exciting on the feet, I think a lot of dudes forget how he won the title when he got to the UFC off of Benson Henderson. Comfortable balls back. They got no exchange. He hit the floor. Benson Henderson got on top of him, and he submitted Benson Henderson with like a sneaky arm bar. Like it was a ghostly arm bar. Like he had the arm bar locked up, and he knew that he just needed to make a tiny little adjustment so that, like, with the camera angle, you couldn't even see. Just a slight adjustment, just readjusted the arm bar, bent Benson Henderson the right way, and Henderson just tapped. He knew he was had. It's like, what are you going to do, break your arm? And he just took that shit like fucking gooder, like just took it off him. So, and then Tony Ferguson, like I said, he's comfortable. He does weird shit. Like he'll scoot on his ass and throw head kicks at you from his feet. He'll do cartwheel kicks, like running forward, spinning back fist combinations, and he doesn't get tired. One thing that I think bodes well for Ferguson is Ferguson has an endless gas tank. Now this fight is only a 3-round fight, I'm pretty sure. So I think that won't make too much of a difference in this fight because Pettis can go, especially on the feet, for rounds. I honestly, coming off the 2-year layoff and things of that nature, I think I'm the only one. I like Pettis in this fight. I really do. I like Pettis in this fight. I think Ferguson gets wild and crazy, and I think that everyone's sleeping on Anthony Pettis, and this is going to be my upset for the night. I like Anthony Pettis in this fight either by decision or by KO. Call me crazy. Pettis' last fight, he fought against a dude that 100% from a tactical standpoint was his kryptonite. A dude that's bigger, more physically opposing. A dude that can take that when you thought going into that fight could take him down and stifle his guard and beat his ass and submit him. Pettis weathered the barrages, the early takedown storms, fought in the clinch against Chiesa. Chiesa was just mauling him, and then Chiesa couldn't get him down his initial takedown attempts and things of that nature, and I think he kind of lost steam, and then Pettis stayed on his feet, sniped him with a crazy straight right. My brother and I were talking about it on one of the other episodes. It was just a piston of a straight right. Dropped him, got all over him, and like I said, Anthony Pettis is a fucking finisher. In my opinion, Anthony Pettis is one of the all-time great finishers. When he smells blood, he's like a shark. He just goes after it and he finishes it. And he took Chiesa down and beat his ass and then submitted him. Did not see that coming in this fight. I thought that fight was going to be boring. I thought Chiesa was going to get a hold of him and just lay on him and win a decision. But there was something else in Pettis' eyes that night. Lately, there's like kind of been like a chip on his shoulder, like almost like I think he feels like people have written him off and things of that nature. And he's just like, fuck that, son. I like Pettis in this fight. I'm taking Pettis by unanimous decision or by a knockout. Wouldn't be surprised. Watch for Ferguson fights with a high guard and likes to throw these crazy looping windmill strikes and things of that nature. And I think he likes to get crazy for the sake of getting crazy. Watch for Pettis, because Pettis likes to shift, and he likes to shift stance and do switch stance real fast and throw kicks from opposite stances. Watch for Pettis to be orthodox and shift southpaw and look for that body kick. Ferguson, in my opinion, has always been susceptible to kicks to the body. I just don't know why people don't utilize it. It's obviously hard when Ferguson's just chasing you down, throwing crazy punches, but watch for the switch kick to the body. I think that would be Pettis' meal ticket to hurt him and try to put him away. But yeah, I like Pettis in this fight. At the underdog that he is, I really like Pettis in this fight. I put a little money down on it. So, yeah, I'm taking Anthony Pettis in the upset of the night. People are sleeping on him. I think Kukui's going to come in thinking he's going to just steamroll him, and I think he might get smoked. So, yeah, I'm taking Anthony Pettis. And now, for the main event of the evening, we have, obviously, everyone knows, supposedly the biggest fight of all time, Khabib, the champion, Nurmagomedov, the Eagle, versus Conor, the Notorious McGregor. Both guys extremely tough. Both guys extremely athletic. And it's the classic striker versus grappler matchup. And I'm gonna talk about this in a manner that makes a case for both guys, because I know we have the fans out there that are Conor dick riders, and they're just like, fucking the Irish, bro. We're fucking fighting Irish, bro. We're coming to town, bro. Conor McGregor all day, left hand, bro, and all this shit. Proper 12, bro. And it's just like, you can't talk to those people, and it sucks when you. It sucks in a way when you try to do these breakdowns. You try to be objective, because like, out the gate, I will say I'm leaning towards Khabib Nurmagomedov in this fight for obvious reasons. But I mean, we've been wrong about McGregor before when he's come out and he's starched a lot of good fighters. So you find yourself in this position where if you tactfully break a fight down and you come to the decision that Conor McGregor is going to lose a fight in your mind, that's your opinion. When Conor does win, which he has more often than not, everyone's like, "See, I told you, bro. You know nothing about fighting, bro. You don't know anything, bro. Conor McGregor all day, bro." And all this stuff. So it's like, as much as I love Conor McGregor, I'm not trying to denigrate him in any way or shape or form, but I'm going to break this down objectively, like as if I'm going to give my case for why both dudes can win the fight and what I think their paths to victory are. So we'll start with Conor McGregor because he's the challenger. Contrary to what people say, he's been away for a while. Khabib's a champion, even though he didn't lose the belt by a fight. But so obviously we know what Conor's got. Conor's got a deep tool set as far as striking. Obviously, he leans on that left hand a lot, and he puts dudes away with that left hand. But he's got solid kicks. He really utilizes that teep kick to the stomach and the chest to really hurt dudes. That's not something I would probably utilize in a fight against a guy like Khabib, but he's got a deep skill set. No matter if we're as far as striking against the cage, he's got good elbows. He's got good striking in the clinch, and I think he's more well-rounded of a fighter than we give him credit for. Do I think he's elite grappler? No. Do I think he's elite wrestler? No. But he knows. There's little weird things I pick up on when it comes to fighters, and you know a guy knows his way around a fight, and when he's comfortable in all aspects of the fight, like he understands positioning when he gets dudes hurt and things of that nature, and he's patient. Like if anyone remembers back to when he fought Eddie Alvarez, and there was a couple times where he dropped Eddie, but he didn't rush in like a madman. There's one scenario where I was like, man, he's just patient. He's patient when he picks his spots, and when he has dudes hurt, he's even patient. Like, and he's always looking ways to keep his positioning when he has a dude hurt. Like he fought Eddie Alvarez, as everyone knows, and he had one particular spot where he hurt Eddie near the fence, and Eddie fell down on his back, and his legs kind of went up, and McGregor like slowly walked over, kept his feet under him in case Eddie decided to like posture forward and maybe like grab a leg. And then he just like, Eddie had his feet up on the fence, and Conor just calmly came in, put a knee on belly, and just grabbed Eddie's ankle and pushed it up against the fence, and was patiently holding him in a way where he could hold Eddie there and rain shots down with his left hand. Like he's very aware. Even though his skill set as a whole is not comparable to other guys, he's just very astute and aware and instinctual, as I would say, when it comes to when he transitions against dudes in fights, when he's on the offense and things of that nature. I would say on the defense, defensively, you could see that from a skill set beyond actually just, the rudimentary skill sets, how to, properly pull a guard and posture and things of that nature. His skill set has shown to not be that deep, but he definitely, even though like he's been beat up on the ground, say for like Chad Mendes, like he's definitely doesn't give two fucks. I think he's comfortable. I mean, that doesn't take away from the fact that in that fight with Chad Mendes, when he was underneath getting hit by Chad, it doesn't mean he's not losing. You can be comfortable all you want, but that's still a man on top of you just beating your ass. Mendes cut him open. But, Conor did a better job than I thought defending himself on the ground against Mendes. Even though he got cut open, he was landing a lot of shots, firing back, putting his feet on Mendez's hips to push him back and land elbows. And if you remember, he was hurting Mendez off the back with some of those elbows. There was a instance where he landed some elbows against Mendez. Mendez was in his guard that made Mendez turtle up and shell and change his tactic. He decided he wasn't going to stand up in the guard and posture up and lean over and try to land elbows and shots because he was starting to pay for them. And then obviously he tried to pass guard and transition to that guillotine, that angled guillotine, and that's when Conor, like I said, he realized there was going to be an opening to counter and wiggle his way out of that. And next thing you know, Conor's up to his feet and he's right in his face again, landing shots, right? So there's definitely, even though he's not overtly skilled in some areas, there's definitely a deep understanding of the transitionary aspects of fights, which make him dangerous, in my opinion. He's always a threat to land shots on you. He's a threat. He's good at getting back up to his feet, things of that nature. And I think he's going to give Khabib a harder time as far as the movement aspects of being on the feet, things of that nature, of cutting angles and landing shots. Now, one thing I will say is Conor McGregor, in this fight, he's going to get taken down. He will get taken down in this fight. I'm just curious to see if he could emit enough offense to stave getting his ass kicked on the floor. Can he create enough gaps and bridges to land shots and, be offensive and not get beat up that bad? Because he's fighting like the mauler of all maulers. It's going to be interesting to see. I do think Conor's definitely going to be on his back on this fight. Anyone thinks that he's not going to be on his back in this fight unless he finishes early, they're nuts. It's going to be interesting to see how he reacts. If Conor can somehow, work the fence and work back up to his feet and manage to get up from being taken down, things of that nature, I think he'll be in the fight more. But basically, early and often, in order for Conor McGregor most likely to win this fight, is he's going to have to really be diligent in his movement, and he's going to have to be fast, and he's going to have to be efficient. He's going to have to take all of his opportunities when he's on his feet to land a succession of shots, and he needs to be accurate. The accuracy is going to be key because, in my opinion, Keep striking defense is absolutely fucking abhorrent, and he's not overtly skilled offensively. Conor's going to have his moments to land the shots, but he needs to land them, and he needs to land the combinations accurately. I mean, he's only hit one dude once and put him away, contrary to popular belief. He hit Aldo once, and as a friend of mine has always said, Aldo was so worked up, he ran into that shot. So it was just as much Aldo doing that he got blasted. Conor knew he was going to come in like a bat out of hell, and he knew he was going to clip him with that hook. So, I mean, other than that, Conor's kind of just beat him down. Like, he's only hit one dude once and separate him from his senses with one shot. All the other TKOs, they've been accumulative beatings, which doesn't take away from the fact that Conor McGregor hits really, really fucking hard. But he's got to be efficient. He's got to make most of his exchanges early and often in order to win this fight. So the path to victory for Conor McGregor is clear, but it's the percentage is most likely that he'll actually be able to obtain that path to victory, in my opinion, are really, really low. He's only going to have a handful of opportunities, most likely. I mean, it's a fight, anything can happen, but he's going to have to make the most of his small openings to really, really land shots. On Khabib's end, Khabib is probably the best grappler, in my opinion, as far as mat and cage control. Taking a dude down against the cage and getting a dude on the floor and things of that nature. He gets most of his takedowns up against the fence. He kind of bobbles his way in and just chases you down, puts you against the fence, takes you down, beats your ass. And like his top control and pressure is insane. He's just so physically imposing. He's so strong. It literally looks like when he gets hold of dudes, it literally looks like fucking like he's wet cement being fucking poured on someone. Like, you ever watch the friggin' Discovery Channel when you watch all the fucking dinosaurs died in the tar pits back in the day? Like, that's like what it's like. He looks like when he gets hold of dudes, the look on their face, they're like, holy fuck, like I've never experienced any shit like this. This is like some fucking next level shit. He's the when it comes to ground fighting, he's the best ground fighter I've ever seen. When you talk about getting a hold of dudes, taking them down, finding the positions he wants to get to, dominating those positions, and effortlessly holding dudes to the floor. And he's so good at controlling guys on the mat that he just postures up and beats the living dog shit out of everyone. It's just fucking nuts. Like, it's effortless. Like when he fought Michael Johnson, he had Michael Johnson up against the fence, and he locked down one of his legs with both his legs and just sat up on his thigh, and had free range to just use his offhand to control Johnson's face and head against the fence and just pound him with his backhand, just beat the shit out of Michael Johnson. He couldn't move. And just that one round, the second round, I think it was, he's sitting up against the fence. He's just sitting on Johnson's leg, just beating the shit out of him. Like, I don't think we've ever seen a more physically imposing. He just demoralizes dudes. He holds dudes down and just blankets them and beats the shit out of them. It's nuts to me. And like on top of that, his ground and pound's next level too. He doesn't get tired. It's just effortless hammer fists, elbows, overhand, straight punches, and he just goes and goes and goes. And it's just like, I just would love to know what's running through that fucker's head. It's probably nothing. It's probably blank. He's just like, I do violence. Dana, you know this. Dana, you know this. Like, it's scary. He's the demon of MMA. Like, I don't care what people say. Like, people can go, oh, but he can get knocked out. Yeah, of course he can get knocked out. But there's something scary. For the people out there that have never had another grown man park themselves on top of you and have him just beat the shit out of you, I've been there. I've had another grown dude park himself on top of me and beat my ass. It fucking sucks. Like, imagine going into a fight knowing that this dude is going to take you down and beat the fucking shit out of you. There's nothing you can do. It feels like torture. Like, there's nowhere you can go. He's going to park himself on top of you, and he's just going to have his way with you. Like, it's just the way it is. Khabib doesn't get tired. His stamina's fucking crazy on top of that. He just keeps coming and coming and coming. Like, sitting in the corner and talking shit to Dana White, saying he's going to smash Conor and all the shit in between rounds during the Michael Johnson fight. Like, Khabib's just fucking nuts. Now, as far as the striking goes, outside of a decent snappy jab, I mean, most of Khabib's, when he wins a lot of striking exchanges, because dudes are so worried about the fact that he's going to fucking get a hold of you and take you down, that he flusters dudes. He just barrages them with shots and things of that nature, and they're just like, oh, I got to stop the takedown. So Khabib's just like batters you and then takes you down. I think dudes are already defeated in the striking category with Khabib because they're more focused on the fact that they know they're going to have to try to stop a takedown. And I think that's why Khabib beats dudes up on the feet a lot of times also, because they're not even thinking to move and defend themselves in an actual tactical manner. They're just worried like, oh, I got to not let him get a hold of me, and I got to sprawl and things of that nature. Now let him take me down. They just don't fight, properly. But that being said, Khabib, from a skill standpoint, is an atrocious striker. I mean, he hasn't really evolved much as a striker. I mean, he hits hard and things of that nature, but there's tons of fat in his combinations. They're windmilly and things of that nature, and he's not really that good at kicking. And like, everyone looks good in the pads and shit, and his camp's like, oh, Khabib's so good at striking, but that's the hole in his game, is he's just not a technically gifted striker. And like, I mean, he's 30 now. So, I mean, he's been fighting for years, and if your striking's this good at 30, this is where it's going to stay. He's not going to get much better at this than striking. He didn't look all that great, in my opinion, against Ally Quinta, who was battered and tired. He decided to stand with him the whole entire fight. What I will say is, the biggest key in for this whole entire fight, if Conor McGregor's going to win, is the fact that Conor McGregor's a southpaw, which is going to make it harder for Khabib to get in there and use that jab, because every time that Khabib goes to snap that jab, there's going to be a left hand coming in over the top of that. The fact that Conor's a southpaw, it's going to limit some of the actual striking techniques Khabib likes to use, like his jab. For example, whenever I'm sparring with someone now, I fight left-handed, like I spar left-handed, things of that nature, even though I'm right-handed, because most people fight orthodox. I like to fight the opposite stance of everyone I train against because it's easier for me to time their jabs and throw shots over the top of their jabs and things of that nature. Like they're trying to set stuff up with a jab and you just monkey their combinations up because you can throw stuff over the top of it. It's harder to see things coming when you're jabbing. Punches come over the top when you're fighting someone the opposite stance of you. I think initially Khabib's going to have to probably feel Conor McGregor out more when it comes to trying to take him down in this fight because Conor's going to be fighting an opposing stance. It's the angles are different when you fight someone that's that's a southpaw because you're not used to it. The angles, everything shifts, everything changes. That's one positive that bodes well for Conor in this fight is that I think if Khabib is smart, Khabib will take his time a little bit more in trying to take him down and try to be better at setting up, which is my only critique on Khabib is the fact that Khabib's so physically imposing and doesn't give a shit. He just chases dudes down and beats them up and gets his takedown that he doesn't do that great of a job, in my opinion, tactically. His entryways into how he obtains takedowns are not the cleanest and the best, in my opinion. And I think that could possibly cause problems in this fight. It caused problems with him. He fought Michael Johnson, right? Michael Johnson is a southpaw. And I think the fact that Michael Johnson is a southpaw and not overly that skilled of a striker, I think it was the fact that Michael Johnson was a southpaw that gave Khabib fits in that first round. Because Khabib came rushing in, trying to take Johnson down. Johnson just used his movement, kind of hung back a little bit, let Khabib come in. And when Khabib was snapping off his jab and his combinations to try to get in close, Johnson was coming over the top with that straight left hand and caught Khabib a bunch of times with the straight left hand and hurt him. I think the fact that Michael Johnson stood southpaw was the biggest reason why Khabib struggled with him. The problem was Michael Johnson, even though he's extremely athletic and explosive, Johnson does not throw any more than 1 to 2 punch combinations. If Michael Johnson could actually string together some actual real combinations and finish up on his initial punches, Michael Johnson could have maybe jumped on Khabib and probably put him away in that first round, I think, if he was a more competent striker, because he definitely had Khabib hurt early in that fight. That's where I think Conor McGregor has a chance to shine in this fight because Conor McGregor throws combinations. He doesn't just throw. When he hits you, he knows he's got you hurt, and then more punches come after that. He just doesn't just always just punch you once, He applies constant striking pressure. With Alvarez, he threw that first punch to put Alvarez away, and he knew it hurt him, and then he followed it up with 3 more punches. Wet, 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 wet. Michael Johnson doesn't fight like that. And that's part of the reason why Michael Johnson eventually got taken down and beaten up, along with the fact that he was focused on not getting taken down. He looked good in that first round against Khabib. The times in which I thought dudes looked successful are times that I think Conor can capitalize on this fight. And I think the fact that if Khabib lingers too long with him on the feet and can't figure out good avenues to get in, I think it'll sway slightly the percentages into Conor's favor if he can knock him out. I think the fact that Conor's a southpaw, if Khabib's not patient, he could walk into a fucking serious punch and get himself hurt. But that being said, most likely I do think Khabib will be able to get inside on Conor. And I do think he'll be able to take Conor down and control this fight. Originally, I was like, I'm all the way in on Khabib when I heard this fight was announced. Then after watching more fights, I was like, I think it's pretty close. I think it's anybody's fight, things of that nature. And then after really looking at it and seeing some of the stuff that's going on, I would say I'm leaning 80% Khabib Nurmagomedov in this fight. Conor definitely has some things in his favor. He's southpaw. Like I said, if you look back at that Michael Johnson fight, I think that if Conor can make the fight early look the way that fight did and utilize the fact that he's left-handed and sneak some smart punches in there and hurt him and actually, if Conor hurts him, he better hop all over him and try to finish him, because he's not going to be able to implement a game plan, a long distance game plan. He's not going to be able to go the full distance and win a decision. So if Conor can use his range and his speed and his power, coupled with the fact that Khabib might rush in not smartly, like I said, 80 to 90% sure Khabib's going to win this fight, but I do see openings where Conor could definitely exploit some of the stuff Khabib does. But yeah, I'm taking Khabib in this fight. He's either going to win by severe mauling for 5 rounds, which I don't think Conor could survive 5 rounds. Khabib gets the upper hand on him the rest of the department. I honestly think Khabib's going to submit him. I think Khabib will probably submit him in the second or third round, submission or TKO. So, yeah, I think Khabib's probably going to finish Conor. Second or third round. I mean, I'd like to see Conor win. I think it'd be fucking hilarious. But like I said, if Conor needs to smoke him early and quick, otherwise he's going to be in a whole world of trouble. And if he doesn't get finished, he's going to be in for a whole world of pain if he can survive long enough. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be pulling for McGregor, but, yeah, I'm taking the Eagle. Taking the Eagle to remain the champion. There's rumors Khabib is going to retire after this fight, things of that nature. I mean, I don't know why. He's only 30. I mean, I guess you can make the argument that Khabib's not that marketable. So I don't know how much of a draw a guy like Khabib could be in the future. He's not really good at talking trash. He's still trying to get better at the American language. And for the hardcore fight fans, I mean, I love watching dudes can grapple. I think it's spectacular. I've watched Khabib versus Michael Johnson 30 fucking times, because I just think it's amazing how he overcame, the storm in the beginning against Michael Johnson and just took him down, just started effortlessly, just beating and even against Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa had his moments in that fight where Khabib just stood with him too long and they were striking, and it was you thought to yourself, oh, could Barbosa land a shot? But Barbosa's hands are not that good. I mean, Barbosa's been known for kicking, and you shouldn't be kicking against someone that's a high level grappler like that. That's just my opinion. So, I mean, if Conor could find himself in some of the positions that these other guys have had, like how Khabib just stood there and fought with Eli Quinto, or how Michael Johnson, made it a fight early and was on top of him and things of that nature, really trying to put his hands on him. If Conor can find himself in those situations often enough, then I think it's anyone's ball game. But I really think Khabib's going to be careful in this fight and try not to exchange with him. I think Khabib's going to take him down. He wants to beat his ass. So, yeah, I'm taking Khabib in this fight. Let's see if there's anything on the horizon. What's on the horizon for these next set of fights? We got some fights coming up. I mean, let's see. I don't know really what's going on with this Madison Square Garden pay-per-view. I keep hearing rumors that it's, obviously we know Dustin Poirier and Nate Diaz are supposed to be fighting. That's going to be a great fucking fight. This fight card is friggin' savage in New York. Holy shit. I'm looking through it right now. We have Derek Brunson versus Israel Adesanya, Jacare Souza versus David Branch, Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman 2, Poirier versus Diaz. That's the co-main event. I've heard rumors that the main event is Valentina Shevchenko versus this other chick that I've only watched fight once. I don't understand. Valentina Shevchenko is one of my favorite fighters. Love that girl. She's my favorite female fighter, but they're not that, as much as I love watching the girls fight, the numbers say that the women aren't that big of a draw, so I don't understand why. I guess since it's for a title, you got to make them the main event, I guess. But that's just how you know that all these rumors that they're making a 165-pound title, for at least right now, are kind of quelled, because right now it has Dustin Poirier and Nate Diaz as the co-main event for this UFC 230 card. And if the rumors are true, the girls will be headlining. This is a good little fight card. I like all these matchups. Chris Rockhold versus Weidman will be interesting, because they fucking East Coast, West Coast, hate each other's guts and shit like that. And Poirier versus Diaz is going to be a fucking fight of the night, barn burner. That's going to be such a good fight. If it even happens, who knows? Diaz, I might just fucking retire. You never know. And all this stuff. Like, we don't fucking know. Branch and Souza, that'll be a really good fight. I think people sleep on David Branch all the time. David Branch can fight. Derek Brunson's a fucking retard, so he's going to get smoked by Israel Adesanya. Derek Brunson's an NCAA All-American wrestler and probably could take Israel Adesanya down, but Israel Adesanya is probably going to just beat his fucking ass. I like Israel Adesanya, the style bender. It's a great nickname. We got a couple fight cards here and there in between. I mean, we got Volkan Ozdemir versus what's his name there, Smith. I'm not high on either of those guys. Frankie Edgar versus the Korean Zombie. It's a UFC Fox card. We have that'll be a good fight. The Korean Zombie, everyone remembers, he went away for like some service duty to his country in South Korea. He had to go in the military for like 2 years. I mean, I love the Korean Zombie. He's one of the only dude. I think he's the only dude to ever win by Twister. I think he submitted somebody with a Twister. Korean Zombie can fight against Frankie Edgar. That'll be a crazy fight. Don Cerrone versus Mike Perry. Mike Perry, that fucking trash Florida swagger. That dude's fucking hilarious. Joseph Benavidez versus Ray Borg. I love Joseph Benavidez, but he's another guy where I think should probably retire soon because he hasn't really evolved much as a fighter. He's fighting Ray Borg, who's a really good fighter. Look out, everyone. Jermaine Durandamy's back on that fight. What a fucking waste. Jermaine Durandamy, the same girl that won the fucking belt against Holly Holm in a fight that she clearly lost and sucker punched her after the belt twice and cheated in that fight and still somehow won the fight, which was a fucking ripoff. Then, after all that, doesn't have the balls to fight Cyborg and just gives the title up. Who the hell just gives some champion, worst champion of all time? I can't stand that chick. She's fighting Raquel Pennington. I hope Pennington beats her fucking ass. Fucking just gives the... I mean, you know what? I can't blame her, though. Like, who the fuck wants to fight Cyborg? Like... But I thought that was some fucking whack shit. Just giving her title up. She's like, whatever. No, I don't want to fight Cyborg. I'm out. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, Brian Ortega versus Max Holloway's been announced for UFC 231. That's December 8th. Let's see what else is on that fight card. That's going to be a crazy fight. Okay, so this is how I'm confused by all this. So I don't think the women are fighting on that UFC 230 card because on here it has Valentina Shevchenko versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk for that title fight. That's the co-main event. This card's stacked. That's the co-main event. You also have Claudia Gadelha versus Nina Anzarov. This is a good fight card. But, man, I don't know who to take out of Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega. Like, both dudes are really well-rounded. I would say that Brian Ortega definitely has an edge in the submission department. And Brian Ortega's weird, man. He's had fights where, like, he's undefeated. He's had fights where you think he's going to lose. Like, he's losing in the stand-up department. Like, a dude will be beating him, outstriking him. Next thing you know, he's just like, blah, blah, just, like, hits a dude and puts him to sleep. He's such a dangerous fighter. I'll have to think about that one more as we come up to it. But, yeah, who doesn't love Max Holloway? Fucking, anytime, anywhere, why not? And all that stuff. Like, he's just always down to fucking fight anyone. See what else we got as far as the fights. Yeah, a lot of these fights are to be determined, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to get a quick little breakdown of the fights. It's been really busy lately, so we haven't gotten out as many podcasts as we've wanted to. I'm hoping next week. We're about a fourth of the way through the football season now. So I'm hoping sometime next week, me and a couple buddies do a breakdown of what's happened in the NFL and break down who we think's gonna, who's for real and who's not. My Bengals are 3-1. Bengals 3-1. We got a big game this weekend. Hopefully my Bengals will keep it going and things of that nature. Me and Hawkeye will probably talk about basketballs on the horizon. LeBron and the boys on the Lake Show out there getting ready to try to hopefully take the West by storm. I'd love to see them do well. To LeBron's a G. I'll also have Anton back. I know everyone loves Anton. We're going to have to get nerdish on here and talk about soccer. I know no one's going to want to listen to that shit because no one watches soccer, but we love soccer, so we're going to talk about whatever the fuck we want. So we're going to hopefully get a couple episodes done next week if everything goes to plan. And for everyone out here that likes the fights, I hope you guys enjoy the fights tonight, and hopefully everyone makes it. Everyone's been weighing in, and hopefully the fights are as good as they're supposed to be tomorrow on paper. I hope everyone enjoys. So I'll holla at you guys. Have a good one.